said so long, carry on, 'cause the devil wants to take me for a ride.
Welcome back. Welcome back. And guys, I'm going to be honest. I didn't want to talk about Russia and Ukraine. I didn't, but there's really not much else to talk about. I don't know. Oh, man, there's been nothing else really crazy going on in the world. And I haven't had anything crazy happen in my life in the past 2 weeks since I talked about this last episode where I talked about furry shootings and all that other fun stuff. So, all right, I'm going to try to not tap stuff on the desk because I've noticed listening to my podcast that I do that a lot. I apologize. I'm going to start this episode off on a positive note. Okay? On a positive note, I'm not going to talk about anything political just yet, so I'll start off with this nice little fun story. A Florida teacher was attacked by a 5-year-old student and hospitalized. An elementary school teacher was left weak and dazed and had to be taken to a hospital for treatment after an attack by a 5-year-old student, reports say. Despite the attack last week, the young student will not face charges. You think? Spokesman with the police department told NBC News that it would be difficult to show the 5-year-old has the ability to distinguish right from wrong. You know what? I think at 5, you know right from wrong. All right, you can get a beating at 5. You know right from wrong by 5. A 5-year-old and another 4-year-old student began throwing things and flipping over chairs in the classroom. That's understandable. School sucks. 5-year-old was removed from the classroom and was taken to an empty cool-down room. This school has a cool-down room? What? For a second, I was thinking, oh, that's very progressive. This is a cool-down room. This is, but in reality, that's just solitary confinement. That's not. They're not. This is just a get the fuck out of here. I can't handle you, kid. It was there when no one else was. The student attacked the teacher, hitting her with hands, fists, and feet. This teacher managed to get on a radio and call for help. This what is this Saving Private Ryan teacher addiction? Addition? Medic! I need a medic! There's a 5-year-old with an exceptionally large pituitary gland. He's taking down teachers. The student reportedly continued to attack the teacher after she was on the floor. Can you imagine getting fucking knocked out and then stomped out by a 5-year-old? Oh, all right. His kid, you know when you watch a World Star video and the dude's knocked out and these guys, and it's always a World Star video of someone just getting stomped out when they're out cold. I'm just picturing that. Oh, God. Oh, fuck teachers. Oh, man. Anyway, Broward County, of course. Broward Teachers Union President Anna. That's like, I think that's Fort Lauderdale, right? Anyway, the victim is in her late 30s or early 40s with a slender frame. You know, a weak-ass bitch. At about 5'4". You know, a punk-ass bitch. You know, a fucking pussy. The student is estimated to weigh between 50 to 60 pounds. That's not, maybe, is that a lot for a 4 or 5-year-old? That's not that much, man. 50 pounds? police officer found the teacher sitting on the ground against a wall in a faint state. I've never heard that. I've never heard that. A faint state? All right. The teacher began coughing and driving and was unable to respond to emergency workers' questions. Hey, ma'am, what happened? One of my students beat me up. And they go, ma'am, your students are all in kindergarten. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, one of my students. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. You got beat up by a kindergartner? Was he K1 or K2? Oh, I don't even know if it's a boy or a bitch. I don't know. Excuse me, lady. I don't know what the gender of this student is. Could be non-binary. Teacher's injuries were so severe that she had to be intubated at the hospital and reportedly will need surgery. Holy shit. This is the weakest teacher ever. Or this kid is going straight to the MMA. Just, dude, skip primary school. Don't even think about going to junior high. Just straight to the UFC. Dana White needs to get on this motherfucker. Wow. Oh, okay. All right. This is Miami. I was right. Fusco tells NBC Miami that injured teacher works with special needs students. Okay, so I'm going to be... The kid had retard strength. Okay, it's different. That's very different. A mentally retarded 5-year-old is going to be a lot. I'm just picturing like a little squat Neanderthal looking 5-year-old. Just, oh. Woo! The 5-year-old in the attack is a special needs student. All right, this makes way more sense. Also, I just realized, why is the UFC never used someone with Down syndrome? I'm just, is that too much? Is that too fucked up? Is that where UFC is like, we're crossing the line here? If we can have Special Olympics, right, with javelin throwing and relay races and whatever else goes on in the Olympics. I don't watch the Olympics because I'm not a loser. Or the Special Olympics because I'm not a sick fuck. And is that where they're like, what if we let them wrestle? Because I've seen like a Down syndrome kid wrestle before. What do we draw the line at putting them in a cage and like fighting each other? Like, what if, I don't know, I would be scared to get in a cage with a dude who had, you know, that would be like a great tagline. This dude just ain't got an extra chromosome. He got extra special hands. All right. In a previous attack, the student... Fusco says this is the third attack on the teacher involving the student. Oh, so you pissed this motherfucker off. This dude, this motherfucker, this fella, he's got it out for you. This is... Ooh, in a previous attack, Fusco says the student pinned the teacher under a bookcase, causing her to lose oh my God. This bitch is going to war. Oh, shit. They need to send this little fucker to Ukraine. Oh, shit. Wow. Then, is that it? That's the end of the story. He pins her under what in the... What? How is his teacher not left? And how is there not a restraining order? Can you imagine? You meet a woman, you're going to... Oh, she comes home. Family look at her, she's got a black eye, and they go, what happened? Just rough day at work. And we're like, she goes out to like see her girlfriends. They're like, what's going on, Catherine? And she goes, my boyfriend beats me. Because that's less embarrassing than saying, I'm getting jumped at work by a 5-year-old retarded kid. I wasn't expecting this story to... I didn't even read this story before. I just saw the headline, and wow, boy, did that... Oh man, what a holy baloney. Oh man, I wish there was a video of this because I would definitely watch it. I know. Like this lady. When that intubated means they had to put this woman on a breathing tube That's how bad this kid fucked up this teacher. Look, can we just make a rule that you gotta be swole to be teaching special needs kindergarten class? You gotta get these small ladies teaching what? Home ec? That's not a thing anymore. I don't know. Philosophy. Put this lady in a entry level philosophy class at any university. But Jesus, what are you doing? Who signed off? Who said maybe the superintendent's a sick prick and he goes, hey, he's talking to the principal and he goes, is Catherine still working there? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, yeah, Catherine, the one who didn't go on a date with me? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, little ass Catherine? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I know a kid in K1 special needs who's a fucking brawler. And we're going to put Catherine in charge of him. And he's like, principal goes, is that a good idea? And the superintendent goes, it's a great idea. Oh boy. Do I want to talk about those? No, I don't even want to talk about those things. Fuck. Oh, wow. That is remember Ghislaine Maxwell, woman who helped Jeffrey Epstein do pedophile shit? Well, guess what? She's getting a retrial because one of her jurors was diddled as a kid and therefore was considered unfit for trial. It's almost like the rich and powerful have rigged the judicial system to keep this from actually ever seeing the light of day. Oh, that's not, I wish, I'm actually amazed it went this far. If they haven't killed Ghislaine by now, they're just that confident that they're going to rig the system. That it's completely rigged in their favor and that everything is good to go. Pete Davidson quit Instagram. Smart move, Pete Davidson. You know, not just for Kanye, but for your own mental health, dude. What are you doing on there? I want to quit Instagram. Florida has this bill called the I don't know, they're calling it the Say Gay bill, but in reality it's if your kid starts talking about sexuality agenda to the teacher up until 3rd grade. So like 8. So before puberty, the teacher's required by law to tell a parent. I don't know. I got mixed feelings. My hope is that it can be like an anti-grooming bill. As long as they're not going after kids after they hit puberty, it doesn't bother me that much. It's like, hey, your kid is, they're like, hey, look, your 5-year-old special needs kid, in between beating the fuck out of his teacher, has been talking about sucking pickle. All right? He's been talking about sucking pickle. And he's saying that he might not be a boy, but he's retarded, so we don't... Anyway, a lot of people don't like this bill. I'm on the fence about it. I think it's, parents should be able to do whatever they, teach their kids what they want, even if it is goofy stuff that I don't like. But if you're going to tell the parents like, yeah, I know, I teach my kid that gender is a construct every day, then it's like, it is what it is. The thought is that somehow this is going to harm kids. Like, I don't, usually if your kids, if your kid is like, I'm gay at 8, he's gay, right? Unless, I don't know, a lot of kids feel the need to say that they're stuff now because it's all the rage in today's modern era. So, I don't know, let's see how it goes. Florida's a good test run. We'll test run it in Florida. We'll see. Do I have a black eye? Why do I look like I have a black eye? Holy shit. Did I get punched by a 5-year-old retarded kid? Is I fall down in my sleep? What is going on? Anyway, Mike, concentrate on the task at hand. There's bigger things bigger fish to fry. And Texas said no hormones for kids under 18. Well, the pendulum's swinging back, baby. We did that super woke thing for a while. I always think it's funny when people say that the left hasn't moved to the left, the right has moved to the right. The reality is you have Republicans arguing, you have right-wing people saying, you're the racist one, I'm not racist. And like, I'm not transphobic. So when you've done that, like, society's moved that far to the left. When conservatives are afraid of being transphobic, yes. Because before they were like, yeah, I am transphobic. So when they're like, we got to get trans people in our group and diversify, yeah, like, let's be honest, society has definitely moved to the left. It is far, in 20 years, we have gone much farther to the left. I'm not saying to like it or dislike it. That's your job. That's your opinion. But it's undeniable that it has. And whenever the pendulum swings a certain way, it's going to swing back the other way. People, it's like, you ever hear a song and you go, I like this song. And you get the song and you just play it and you play it and you play it till you're sick of hearing it. You're going to throw up and you just play that song into the dirt. And then finally you're like, I can't hear this anymore. Like, I loved this song, but I killed the song for myself. And for a while you just don't listen to it. And then later on you're like, oh, remember that song? I can listen to that once in a while. And that's how life works. Except with politics. Anyway, how about that gas, huh? Huh? Hey, you guys seen these gas prices out here? Pretty soon you're gonna have to be sucking dick for gas, huh? Pretty soon I'm gonna be, gas is more expensive than heroin. Yeah, have you seen, you heard about these? You seen these gas prices? You heard about these? Oh my God, dude. So this is all going to come back to Ukraine, and I'm going to finish off this episode by answering a question about Ukraine and going into its history. I know I'm prepping you for this. I don't know, because I guess that part's not going to be as funny, but I didn't want to talk about it. I'm going to start off by getting into this. It's very funny to me watching, like, George Takei put out a tweet, Stephen Colbert said this thing where we should be willing to pay whatever we need to in gas. Meanwhile, these are both millionaires. And Steve drives an electric car. And he has a Tesla. And they're going, whatever we have to do Steve said, for our moral conscience. And George Takei said, it's your patriotic duty. Now, first of all, gas prices were going up anyway because we're about to experience fucking shitty inflation. Okay? And gas companies suck. And they're fucking us. And our corporate elite are fucking us as they have fucked us. And they can, like, they're not halting the fucking. They're like, look, we just made billions off of the pharmaceutical industry. We're not going to stop. So already we are coming down a road to some severe economic problems in the United States of America. And they're going to be passed off as the result of COVID and Russia. And the lockdowns and America's sanctions against Russia are going to play a part in this. But in reality, this shit was going to happen either way from mismanagement by our shitbag politicians and our corporate elites who don't care about the working class or the poor. They just don't. And what we're seeing now out of progressive, now the neocons and neoliberals both want war. Right now, the progressives have, like I said, we're more in a leftist society right now, woke society, certainly not leftist in helping the working class. That's kind of over. And I keep seeing people say, it's your, rich millionaires saying it's your patriotic duty. It's your Fuck you, George Takei. Who would have thought that a senior citizen, flamboyantly gay Japanese actor who was on a shitty sci-fi show from the 60s is the one telling working class Americans, shut up and pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You're not patriotic. What? Dude, what? Sometimes I wake up and I go, I'm in a simulation. I am in a full simulation. We're in a simulation. And I'll give the creators of the simulation credit because COVID was a little different. They were planning that one. That was new. It was nice to see something new. It's like Hollywood. They do nothing new. But now we're just rebranding the 80s. The Wonder Years is coming back, right? Except now they're like, I was like, I don't want the Wonder Years again. They go, but it's black. And they go, it's black? Yeah, black Wonder Years. Black Wonder Years? Yeah, the Blunder Years. Oh, shit. Oh, bigger and blacker. Wonder Years. Show from the 80s, for those of you who don't know. And someone's like, what else can we bring back from the 80s? How about a Cold War with Russia? How about Russia invades a country like... But Russia did that in Afghanistan in the 80s. We're gonna bring that. How are we going to bring that back? They're not commies anymore. Get this. We'll be the left ones. Now, we're both economically imperialists, but we'll be woke left, and we'll say that they're Nazis. Like, what? Dude, we're going to do a complete 180 on this? No one's going to believe this. This is not even believable. Yeah, they'll believe it. And then someone said, what else can we bring back? AIDS. Dude, go Google AIDS. AIDS is making a comeback. They're preparing to make AIDS have a comeback. Prince Harry got an AIDS test for some reason, even though he's fucking married to Meghan Markle. I don't know why you need an AIDS test, dude, if your wife isn't getting piped down. Which makes me wonder. I feel like Meghan Markle gets torn up. I feel like Prince Harry sits in the corner like a little cuck, goes, telling me I'm a bad prince. Telling me I'll never be king. And Markle's just getting fucking slammed. 10-inch dicks just fucking gutting her. You know, like bingo, like a... She's got a cadre of heavy hitters banging her out like a fucking bongo drum. And he's just like, tell me. Tell me the monarch is purely symbolic. That's Australian, Michael. I don't even know what that is. Telling me I'm a figurehead. Hello. I'm telling you, they're saying there's a new AIDS. It's 4 times more likely to get you. AIDS is making a comeback, right? People need... On the plus side, COVID is over. Like, for the most part, COVID is over. But, all right, I'm going to get serious here. If you haven't picked up on it by now, the news, your elites, your politicians want you in a state of perpetual fear. They want you terrorized. And I keep seeing people put stuff online where they go, oh my God, look at what we've been through. You know, Y2K, this, 9/11, war in Iraq, COVID. Like, look, bad shit does happen. But your news cycle can make something that isn't even a thing. Okay? Imagine if Ukraine, what they did for Ukraine, they've done for any of the wars that we started. Syria, we destroyed Libya because we didn't like that Gaddafi wouldn't play along with us because he wanted to unite, create a Pan-African movement, unite them together so they're not dependent and manipulated and imperialized by the West so that they can't be raped of their resources. So we killed them. And now they have open-air slave markets in Libya. It's not even a functioning state, but you don't know about that. We give weapons to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia butchers women and children in Yemen to this day. There's a civil war going on there that Saudi Arabia is bombing the fuck out of these people. It's horrific. It's insane. The news doesn't report on that. We killed over 1 million people in Iraq. We don't hear about it. Hundreds of thousands have died in Syria. The United States allied with Al-Qaeda in Syria. We made ISIS in Syria because we didn't like the guy there because he wouldn't play our fucking game. 20 years in Afghanistan. Our country and our military propped up warlords who raped children. And a lot of those victims went and then fought for the Taliban because to fight for America, for ideals you didn't want, was to fight for warlords who fuck little boys. So let me walk. Horrible shit is happening all the time. It's just not reported on if it doesn't if it benefits the elites in our country. If it doesn't benefit the elites in our country, you'll hear about it. So I know it's not fun hearing about what's going on in Ukraine. It's not fun to fucking be in Ukraine. I feel horrible for those people. As I feel horrible for Palestinians and Yemeni people. The Yemeni and the Lebanese and the Syrians and the Libyans and, all the other countries that we have been fucking up or where war has happened. I feel awful. It's awful. But here in the U.S., the fact that this is exploding right after COVID, and now COVID's not even a thing, they want you afraid. They want you permanently afraid. Just as during the Cold War, you were permanently afraid of getting nuked. And the 90s came around and we weren't quite afraid. And then they were like, 9/11. Terrorism. Now you're afraid of terrorism. They want you like this so you can be manipulated. Because when you're afraid, you'll give away stuff. I'm afraid, so I will give up my rights to go into a supermarket unless someone's vaccinated. I won't hug my family because I've heard about this crazy new disease. I won't go see my relatives on Christmas, Thanksgiving. I'll let old people die alone because I heard that because there's this disease that's slaughtering everyone apparently because I'm amped up with fear. I'm suspicious of that guy down the street because he has a name like whatever country I've been told to be afraid of right now. I'm perpetually afraid because of terrorism. So here's the Patriot Act. Take my freedoms, man. Both sides do this, right and left. Take my freedoms. Take my freedoms. Take my freedoms. Take my freedoms. I'm afraid. And here's something you got to remember, because for a little bit I was spending too much time on Twitter looking at what's going on social media. And I was angry about stuff. I'm angry about what's going on in the world and all that. But the reality is I'm angry with my own life. I'm angry because I've been dealing with some very intense family drama again. And I can't fix it. And it hurts. And it fucking hurts me. And what am I going to do? I'm angry that I don't have more money. And I'm looking at inflation. And I'm worried about my finances. And I'm angry that I can't travel as easily to see people I care about as much. I'm frustrated about aspects of the world that I live in. And I'm frustrated about aspects of my own life. I think we all get this. Even rich motherfuckers get this. And I realized I'm using this, what's going on. And I think everyone involved with arguing online about this is using this as a vector for the reality that instead of just saying, hey, I'm pissed off because I'm dealing with some shit, I can sit here and, whether it's someone arguing about Putin or this or that, it's in reality you're angry about your own shit. I caught myself and I was like, oh, Mike, I'm really in a fucked up place. I'm dealing with some shit and it's hurting me again. And I'm using this as a way to distract myself from this thing that's making me angry, but the anger isn't going anywhere. I'm just funneling it into this. So I was like, all right, let me pull back because I think that the Ukrainian people are fucked. Unfortunately, they're getting fucked, and they're the victims here. Now, the Ukrainian government and the Russian government and the United States government and all these governments are the bad guys. They're all assholes and they're idiots. And so, in my opinion, fuck them all. The people here, and Americans, we've managed to make this about ourselves. We've managed to make this into a, arguing over Biden and Trump type thing, as if somehow this was ever our place to stick our nose in the first place. And I'm going to get into the question I was asked. I kind of got off on a tangent there because I was going to talk about crypto. The U.S. government, everyone talks about crypto, man. Crypto's how you keep from what happened in Canada when they shut down all those bank accounts for those truckers. Crypto's how you protect yourself. And then we see that in Russia, we're shutting off bank cards. We're crippling, doing everything we can to cripple the Russian people economically. People have no control over their government whatsoever as a form of communal punishment, which, by the way, doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'll give you an example of communal punishment not working. Osama bin Laden was responsible for 9/11. And 9/11 was done to the American citizenry as revenge and communal punishment for the U.S.'s foreign policy and the wars and invasions and the CIA killings that we've been doing in the Middle East and other countries. And, you know, when they were asked, some of the people involved in this were asked, why didn't you just attack U.S. government installations? And they said, well, the government is a representation of the people. So we're attacking the people. And I've heard this same line being used by Americans who want to destroy the lives of Russian citizens. And did it get America? Did it get us to riot and overthrow and revolt against our government? No. It pushed us deeper into their arms. We gave them more control. We gave away more of our freedoms, and we became even more patriotic. And then we invaded Iraq full blown and got deeper into the Middle East. So it had the opposite effect. Those of you who think that economic sanctions on the Russian people is going to work, it's not. It's going to make them more patriotic. They're going to suffer under stuff we put in place, and they're going to turn to their government, and they're going to say, well, these people hate me for being Russian. I know you could say, well, it's because your government's doing this. Most Americans have no idea what our country does outside of our borders. And when we hear about it, we make up some big lying excuse that we did it for freedom. Or we did it for a good reason. Russians say the same shit. Anyway, that crypto thing scares me. Not taxes. We're going to get a fucking big dick in the bum on this gas thing, huh? Oh, man. No. Who loses? Just like with COVID, who lost? The middle class and the lower class. Who won? The rich won during lockdowns. Small businesses were destroyed. Big corporate businesses made billions. Netflix made money. Walmart made money. The pharmaceutical industry made money. The average American was destroyed. Who's going to get destroyed here? Not weapons manufacturers. Military-industrial complex going to kick ass. Rich people going to kick ass, as always, in Russia and in the U.S. The American poor are going to get fucked as our prices on things revolving around Ukrainian grain and Russian oil go through the roof, which was already going to go up. And a lot of it's being an excuse, but that's going to go up. The Russian people are going to get fucked, and we're all going to get fucked, except for the people benefiting. And I was asked, you released a video, Michael, about saying we shouldn't be involved. Do you still maintain that? I do. I still maintain that we shouldn't be involved. And I'm going to just quickly give you a Cliff Notes history, because I keep seeing people post online about Ukraine and Russia, and you motherfuckers have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm going to give a quick history. Just nice Mike Bain history. All right. In the Middle Ages, you had the first Russian kingdom was Kievan Rus, and this was the big one. And Kievan Rus is starting in Novgorod, spread down to Kiev. Kievan Rus is where the Russians, the Belarusians, who I always want to call Belarusians, which Belarus means white Russian, which implies that there must be black Russians. Which I should just go into a place and instead of asking for a white Russian, just ask for a Belarusian or Belarusian. Anyway, the Ukrainian people, the Russian people, and the Belarusians all view themselves as the inheritors and descendants of Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus was this kingdom. It was begun when Vikings came through the Baltic, down rivers to the Black Sea, and over time they became the leading class over a Slavic race of people. You had a bunch of Slavs ruled over by a very small elite of Vikings. Kievan Rus stuck around, and eventually in the 1200s, they were conquered by the Mongols. The Golden Horde invaded Eastern Europe. They decimated the Russian principalities. Everything but Novgorod, which was far up in the north, became under the suzerainty of the Golden Horde. They had to pay tribute. It was humiliating. They suffered as lesser people under the Mongolians, but the Mongolians, like the Romans, let them have their religion and basically do your thing, but give us warriors and give us gold. Occasionally we'll take some of your women. This went on, and for a couple hundred years, finally they, with the advent of gunpowder, they were able to fight back against the Mongolians. Eventually, you had Poland, Lithuania in the west, and then, bam, the Russian Empire starts to come around. Russian Empire is backwards for a while. They sprout up. They conquer Eastern Europe. Conquer portions of Poland. They conquer central... Basically, the Soviet Union is based off the former boundaries of the Russian Empire. Eventually end up in Alaska. They're in Siberia. They're in Central Asia, the Stans, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan. They are in the Caucasus, Georgia, Azerbaijan. They're in Eastern Europe, the Baltic states, Finland, Ukraine. All these conquered areas and peoples by the Russian Empire, ruled by the Russian Tsar or Kaiser, Emperor, based off Caesar. All right, so we're getting close. That falls apart. There's a revolution during the First World War because the Russians are getting their ass kicked, and then there's a second revolution, this time a communist revolution. The Russians had given up a bunch of territory to the Germans. They lost it. The Russian Empire was broken apart at the end of the World War I. Well, even before the Germans took a bunch of shit. But all those territory broken apart. And you got countries that hadn't existed in a while. Poland was back because Germany had been crushed. And you got to understand, countries like Poland and Ukraine, these are like watermark countries. And what I mean by that is they live in the shadow of a strong country like Germany or Russia. And when these countries are strong, the water level rises and you no longer see places like Ukraine or Poland or Lithuania. They get gobbled up. And same thing with Tibet and China, or the Uyghur provinces in China. And then as the power wanes, as it does, and they go through a shit time, these countries come back again. And then the Soviet Union invades Eastern Europe. There's the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Basically, Stalin and Hitler were like, let's invade Poland together and we won't attack one another. And eventually Hitler was like, psych! Anyway, during this time period, the Ukrainian people suffered horrifically in the 30s. Stalin and the Soviet Union did a thing called the Holodomor, which means the Great Famine. They purposely starved the Ukrainian people. And Ukraine is the breadbasket. If you look at the Ukrainian flag, it is blue over yellow. And the yellow represents the wheat field and blue the great sky. Ukraine is a flat place. It's not a mountainous place. It is a giant place of fields. It is a breadbasket for Europe, as Egypt was a breadbasket for the Mediterranean. It's where a ton of food comes from. Stalin took this food, Ukraine, and purposely starved 8 to 9 million Ukrainian people. I mean, horrible stuff if you want to look into it. I mean, children were eating each other. People ate their own kids in stews and fed their kids to their other kids. It was horrible stuff. Like if you were caught, if the secret police found you even taking a seed, like you were sent out to pick food in the field and then you had to give it all back. There's this obsession with the socialists where anyone who made a little bit of money just for themselves was considered a petit bourgeois. Like they think a guy who owns a construction company is a petit bourgeois. If you own a house and you rent, you're petit bourgeois. All the guys at that working class protest in Ottawa, they're petit bourgeois because they own their own big rigs. Get the fuck. So at that time they said that these people who owned land were kulaks. This was the word from there, petit bourgeois. And Ukrainian farmers were taken off their own farms, forced to work on collective farms. They got none of the food. They were starved. It was horrible. You got caught taking a seed. You were mutilated. Your wife was fucking raped. Your kids were fucking raped. And this is a scar within the Ukrainian psyche. Now, this is an important thing because it's going to come up later. At this point in time, an enormous amount of the secret police were Jewish. Upwards of about 80%, especially in Ukraine, Jewish communists. So when 5 Secret Service NKVD guys showed up, MJB guys showed up to your house to take your food and rape your wife and torture your kids. 4 of them were Jewish. And I say this because this is going to come up later. This was not lost on the Ukrainian people. It's why so many Ukrainians signed up with the Germans and the Nazis. Because number one, we've been getting killed by Russians. A lot of them are Jewish, and they're communist. And the Germans are like, you want to kill? We don't like Jews. We don't like communists. We don't like Russians. The Ukrainians are like, fuck yeah, dude. Here we go. All right. Anyway, cut to today. Soviet Union goes on, collapses in 91, and this is important. 91, the Russians said, the Russian government said, look, I forget who it was, Yeltsin, whoever at the time said, look, do not humiliate us. Our country is weak right now. Do not expand NATO. We agreed to not expand NATO east of anywhere where it was. Don't take advantage of our humiliation. This was a fucking conversation that was had between our governments. And the U.S. said, of course, we're not going to expand NATO. We're not, you don't have to worry about NATO, even though NATO was made to keep the Germans down and the Russians out of Europe. It is an aggressive pact against the Russians. The Soviet Union tried to join NATO in 1959, and we said no. And they did this to prove that NATO was an aggressive alliance against Russia, and it gave them the justification to make the Warsaw Pact. NATO should have ended in 91. If NATO was to stop Russian Soviet communism, then when the Soviet Union was ended and the Soviet Empire was ended, it all broke up, then it was all over, right? Wrong. NATO advanced. We went against what we said. We've advanced into former Soviet countries. We've showed up on their doorstep. And I'm going to put this in a simpler terms. We've been tinkering around, absorbing countries. In 2014, the CIA created a coup. Now, you can look this up. A lot of you have already forgotten this because in this new age of constant media, you forget stuff so easily. It was called Euromaidan. In 2014, the CIA staged a color revolution where they got the people to basically do... It's funny that same people who support this don't like January 6th because it was basically a January 6th. People stormed their government, removed a democratically elected president, and instituted a Western-aligned, EU-aligned, American-aligned government. Russia was like, what the fuck? We're going to take Crimea. Like, we have a lease on Crimea for 100 years. And also, this is where our fleet is. We're not going to give this is the home base of our Black Sea fleet. You can't have this. Like, we can't give this up. Just like the U.S. won't give up Guantanamo Bay, even though we took it from Cuba. The Russians are like, all right, we're not going to... And we have continued tinkering around. Now, the Ukraine in Central and West is Ukrainian. They speak Ukrainian. In the East, they speak Russian, and they're ethnically Russian. So what happens is the Russian-speaking people, ethnically Russians, will elect a government that says, fuck you Ukrainians, we don't want Ukrainian language on our TV and in our government. And then the Ukrainians do it, and then they ban Russian language, and back and forth, and it doesn't work. Can't have a government that's is basically a football game between races. You know, like you could have one country for one people and one country for the other people. It doesn't work because they're continually trying to take power from one another. All right. Now, let me put this in basic terms. I'm going to try and summarize this. Imagine, if you will, you got the Hells Angels biker gang in Chicago, right? Hells Angels in Chicago. And they kind of fall on hard times, right? Like, they're an area that the Hells Angels used to own. Well, this other young biker gang, we'll call them Satan's butt chuggers, right? They're Satan's butt chuggers. And Hells Angels, they're having a war amongst themselves over leadership. Things aren't good in their operations. And they go, hey, Satan's butt chuggers, just buy our meth. We're not going to take your territory back. It's your territory now. But, you're going to buy our meth, whatever. We'll trade meth with each other. Just don't go dicking around with enemies of us. And go do your thing, man. Go do your thing, whatever. And Satan's butt chuggers, doing their own thing. And then the Mongols, who are a biker gang, rival biker gang in the Hells Angels, who are way out in California, go, hey, we're going to start dicking around over here with these butt chuggers, with Satan's butt chuggers. We're going to start blowing smoke up their ass and saying, hey, man, you know you should, hey, man, fuck the Hells Angels. Now's the time to make a move. You should ally with us. And they're like, but you're way over in California. What can you do for it? And they're like, yeah, fuck those bitches. Weak ass Hells Angels, they can't do shit, man. Fuck them. Fuck them. You know? Tell you want our meth. You want to buy our meth. That's what you want to do. Don't buy Hells Angels meth. You want to buy our meth. Right? Get your meth off of us. And then finally, the butt chuggers are starting to get like, yeah, fuck, the Hells Angels ain't shit no more, huh? And the Hells Angels are like, what's going on? Like, we're not going to let you take turf right next to us. You can't take turf right next to us, dude. This is like, there's no way we can let you do this. Not a chance in holy hell we can let you do this. And you're like, meh. You know, and then Mongols get them all amped up. And finally, the butt chugger's like, fuck you. We're joining the Mongols. And Hells Angels go, no, you're not. And they invade and go to war on the butt chuggers' turf. And the butt chuggers call over the Mongols and they go, hey, man, we're going to war. You want to come fight? And the Mongols are like, nah, you were good. And the butt chuggers like, what? I thought you were going to. And they were like, no, dude, we can't afford an all-out gang war with the Angels right now. That's bad for business. That's not good for anyone. Look, you guys, you know, I know we amped you up and we said we'd help you, but, you know, you go do your thing. You go do your thing over there and we'll chill over here. And now the butt chuggers are getting their asses kicked by the Angels, and they're appealing to everyone, like every biker gang, like, come help us. And everyone's like, well, you know, oh, yeah, we'll, don't worry, we won't buy the Hells Angels meth anymore. And the Angels are getting really mad because now no one's buying their shit. And there's a chance they might take it out on the Satan's butt chuggers. And there you go. There's an American explanation of what's going on. The West didn't like that Ukraine was buying all their products from Russia. We wanted another market for ourselves. We got involved. We amped up Ukraine. There's no good guys in this. Putin's a cunt. Zelensky's a cunt too. You guys don't know this, but Zelensky, just like Putin, jails his political rivals and he jails journalists. They're both the same type of Eastern European oligarchs. They're not different. One is just fighting for one side and one is fighting for the other. A lot of this, dude, I think a lot of people what social media has done, it has made the propaganda levels so insane. TikTok was filling me with fake shit. Like, how many of you guys have heard about the ghost of Kiev? It's not real, dude. And it's funny because a lot of the people who are all about getting rid of misinformation on the internet during COVID are fine with misinformation now. They're like, oh, man, the ghost of Kiev isn't real. It's not real. And then people were like, it's a woman. You know, it was like a real just jerk fest of wokeism. Oh, I bet it's a woman. They'll get Putin. No, it's not. There was no ghost of Kiev. By the time that happened, the Ukrainian Air Force had been completely destroyed. The Russians have total control over the skies. Those guys on Snake Island, the 15 who said, go fuck yourself, Russians, they weren't blown to bits. They didn't go down with the island. They surrendered. The woman who gave sunflower seeds to the Russian soldier and said, you know, put these in your pocket because when you end up in the dirt, I like my country to be beautiful, didn't happen. Stuff ain't real. But, like, I watched a U.S. representative, it might have been a senator, put up a picture of, it said the ghost of Kiev, and it was Sam Hyde's face. For those who don't know, Sam Hyde had a show on Adult Swim called $1 Million Extreme. He's out of Rhode Island. I used to do open mics with him. Wildly funny and crazy dude. Whenever there's a mass shooting, people put up a picture of this guy's face and say, this is the guy who did it. It's a running joke on the internet, and they get news agencies to put it up to prove how stupid they are. I'm watching so many videos that are of other wars, and people just slap whatever on. Hey, Ukrainian girl shows how to steal Russian tank. That was a Russian girl who does Russian videos she's a Russian mechanic girl. You're seeing all this stuff, and it's fake. It's from other war zones. It's from training sessions. Russian soldiers talk to each other as they parachute in on their iPhone. It's like, this is from a training session. And everyone just, whatever the title is, people believe it. Whatever it is, they believe it, nonstop. This was avoidable. This was completely avoidable. And for the record, what we did, our color revolution, the Euro Maiden thing we did in 2014, amping Ukraine up to be a part of NATO so we can store weapons there. We were doing it, and we tried to do it in Belarus and Kazakhstan, 2 countries on the Russian border, and they both failed. It failed there. It succeeded in Ukraine. We've been trying to do it in Cuba for years. And this is really funny, but so right now there's this giant embargo of all tech. And it goes to show you how all tech is in line with the U.S. elites, our global elites, and how when Russia fucked up, they came together to, stop it. Well, I fucked up. Maybe that's not a good way of putting it. But when the Russian government did some scumbag shit and started invading a sovereign nation, they go, we're going to stop you, Russia. So we're going to shut down Russia, like the country. Spotify, McDonald's closed their Russian stores to oh no. Oh yeah, you're really fucking the Russian people now that you can't feed them poison. Pornhub isn't active anymore in Russia. Oh no, an addictive thing that's bad for your mind. It seems like the Russians are winning out. Western media now will no longer operate on channels in Russia, which is only creating an echo chamber. If you're a Russian citizen and you can't watch BBC, which sucks, by the way, but you can't watch Western news now because they won't operate. We're banning our Spotify has shut down their office. We're not operating anymore. Coinbase has said we're shutting down Russian accounts. Bank cards are no longer working in Russia. There's videos of Russian people who can't get on the train because they can't get a Metro card. Let me pull this up. The International Cat Federation bans Russian-bred cats. What the fuck? A university in Milan put a hold on a class about Dostoevsky because he's a famous Russian author. Is that it? Is that what... You know what? That's what it is. That's what's going to save us all, man. Is right now there's a Russian soldier walking into Ukraine and he's saying to himself, you know what? I could deal with nearly dying. I could deal with it all. I could deal with invading a sovereign nation. I could deal with having my bank account shut down. But they banned Mr. Mittens. They banned Mr. Mittens from performing in the International Cat Federation. And I'm calling it quits and I'm going home. Is that, it's performative bullshit. And all I can ask is, why was this never done to stop the U.S. or the Western powers from invading any of the countries we've invaded? Why wasn't it been used against Israel for what they've done to the Palestinians? Why has it never been used against the Chinese for their invasion of Tibet, for their genocide against the Uyghur people who are in actual concentration camps? If this is useful, why are we only using it right now? These are questions I think we should be asking ourselves. And for the record, I'm not this, because if you call in to question the media right now, everyone's like, you're a Russian or Putin sycophant. I'm not. But what I acknowledge is that by completely cutting Russia off from any information, from Facebook, from all social media, they can't use TikTok now, they can't use Facebook now, Spotify, they're being cut off from our media. What has happened is that they can only now consume Russian media. For instance, RT, which is a Russian state-owned news outlet, just like the BBC is a British state-owned news outlet, is now banned in all Western countries. So we can only get our propaganda, and they can only get their propaganda. So it's only going to put them deeper into the arms of their government. If they can't see another viewpoint other than the one their government's given them, because we banned it to punish them, they're not going to see another idea beyond what they've been told by their government. And I know that what I'm seeing is complete Western propaganda. Now, I'm not saying that the Russians aren't killing people. They are absolutely fucking killing people. I hope the Ukrainian people can maintain. I hope that I stick it out. I'm feeling for you guys. I wish my country didn't stick its nose in your shit. there's definitely because propaganda war going on, because we're saying that Putin and the Russians are Nazis, and the Russians are saying that they have to denazify Russia. Are there Nazi battalions in Ukraine? Yes. Remember what I said earlier about that shit that happened in the 30s, the Holodomor? Well, despite having a Jewish president, there are Nazi militias in Ukraine. Does that mean the Ukrainians should be conquered? No. Are there Nazis in Russia? Yes. They're on both sides. And for those who think that Putin's people, they're like, a lot of them want this because the places that they're rolling into in the East are waving Russian flags. You're not going to see this on TV. They're welcoming the tanks in Donbass. They're welcoming them. Now, not all of Ukraine and Ukraine. Some Ukraine, they're fighting them tooth and nail. Some parts, they're welcoming them. And so they're seeing that side of this. They're not seeing an apartment building getting hit by a missile. We're seeing that. We're not seeing the people waving Russian flags and saying, come on in. And I like to watch both sides, just like how if I look at news, I read CNN and Fox News about the same thing. I realize the truth is somewhere in the middle. The truth is somewhere in the middle of this propaganda. And if we can't see the other side, I don't know what's real. I saw a video online amongst, like the Ghost of Kiev, they were using video game footage. I saw a video of a young girl, maybe 11, standing up to a soldier, and it says, Ukrainian girl says, go back to your own country, to Russian soldier. And you look at all these idiots online like, oh yeah, fucking get them. And then it's in a desert, and they're clearly speaking Arabic. It's a Palestinian girl telling an Israeli soldier to get the fuck out of, go back to your country, get out of the West Bank. And then all of a sudden people are like, well, it doesn't matter now. It doesn't count now because it's, well, what do you mean? Why aren't you keeping that same energy? Like, I want the Ukrainian people to have their own sovereign nation outside of the thumb of Russia. And I want Palestinians to have their own state. But you seem to only want to support one when it fits your idea. Everyone is getting, and part of me wonders if this isn't intentional. Because right now, everyone is patriotic. Right now, everyone is patriotic as fuck. Look at me. I got my American flag hat. I got my Jocko Willick, Jocko Go energy drink. It doesn't taste like watermelon, even though it says it does. But all these people who are fighting each other over COVID, now we have a war again, right? And we're all, regardless of political party, we're all putting up posts about why Russia shouldn't invade, and no one is invading us. We haven't been invaded. Americans have this weird fantasy for being invaded. We put it in movies like Red Dawn, where we're invaded by aliens. In War of the Worlds, no one is crossing an ocean to invade us. Okay? We're getting into Russia's sphere of influence. Does Russia have a right to have a sphere of influence? No. But we wrote the Monroe Doctrine, where we said any country that involves itself in either North or South America, we will go to war with. Which means we will invade and rape and pillage all of Latin America, and no one else will. Russia does that with the stands, with Eastern Europe. China does it with Central Asia as well, and Eastern Asia. The Chinese going to take Taiwan? Not yet. They know we're going to collapse on our own, so they're just waiting around. Americans have a short attention span, and the Chinese want to get the West back for the century of shame, when China, one of the world's greatest civilizations, was conquered by a bunch of what they feel are barbarian Westerners. We carved up sphere of influence, we abused China, and they know they're coming back. And on the horizon, Russia will be coming back. China will be coming back. So we got to enjoy it as we can, Americans. Get out there and enjoy it. Enjoy it while you still can. And to answer some stuff about Putin, some of his people are for this. I've already seen that they're using a Z now. You know how when we invaded Iraq, everyone put the yellow ribbon, support our troops on? In Russia, they're doing that on their cars. It's just the letter Z. It's the same thing. They're going through their own. What this is for Russia is their Cuban Missile Crisis. They're not going to let Ukraine join NATO under any circumstances. Just as JFK said, we will literally go to war with you if you put fucking nukes in Cuba. We will not let it happen. You will not put nukes in our sphere of influence that close to our border. And Russia is saying you will not put these in Ukraine. You know, you will not get into Ukraine. You will not have weapons of any variety in Ukraine under any circumstances. This is our Cuban Missile Crisis. The Russians will not. They were clear for a while. Stop tinkering around there. Now they've invaded. And Putin's a cunt. He's a fucking cunt. And Ukraine should be for the Ukrainians. It shouldn't be for the West. It shouldn't be for the Russians. It should be only for the Ukrainians. And what Putin, as much as we're like, oh man, you know, madman. He's not Hitler. He doesn't want to conquer all of Europe. What we don't realize is that Putin is like a center-right guy, but there are guys in Russian politics who are so far right-wing that they make Putin look like a big, fat, transgender feminist. There are people so hardcore in Russia that Putin looks like a green-haired, genderqueer feminazi. That, and they are saying, Putin, you ain't going hard enough. You ain't going hard enough. And there are people out there who listen to him in the Russian population. So you ain't going hard enough. And he's trying to, because everyone's like, oh, the Russians are protesting. Yeah, we protested when we went to war with Iraq. Excuse me, it doesn't mean most of the population didn't support it in the time. Which makes me wonder if the people running our global show want this. So, because we need fear. So we need to get people afraid. And we want to cut off. In 1984, there were 3 giant totalitarian governments. And they were always at war with one another. They would ally with one and then go to war with the other one. And then they would break that alliance. And like nothing. Just like how, you know, over and over 30 years ago, they were the commies. And I feel like there needs to be a boogeyman to keep people afraid. And the powers that be are like, we're going to cut them off and we're going to make a new boogeyman. And they want this. They want it for Russia. They want it for us. They want this delineation, this complete, we don't have, just like, and in that 1984, you didn't have access. You couldn't emigrate from one totalitarian state to the other. You couldn't get information from another totalitarian state. You just knew that they were the enemy. They're the enemy. Their books are the enemy. Their cats are the enemy. Everything, their porn is the enemy. Their vodka is the enemy. Everything that they are is the enemy. And suddenly you get leftists being ultra-nationalists. Also, I support Ukrainian nationalism. I think this is what, I'm a nationalist, and this is proof of why you need nationalism. Because the same people who are saying, I'm glad that Ukraine is being nationalist, they're fighting for their country and their freedom, and they should all have guns, are people who normally say no one should have a gun and American nationalism or Western nationalism is evil. If it wasn't for nationalism, the Ukrainian people would have walked away and let the Russians take in everything. They didn't. They're fighting tooth and nail for their honor, their integrity, and their country. And they're doing it because they love themselves and they have nationalism. And if a people don't have that, if you don't say, I'm proud of my race, my culture, my heritage, my country, then when you are invaded, when your society does collapse, you do nothing to stop it. If that was a Western country, would a place where people are taught to hate their identity, it was just Sweden. You think the Swedes would have the nationalism to hold on? No. Swedes are a bunch of bitches. I don't. All right, man. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I just wanted to give a synopsis of Ukraine used to have nukes too, and they gave them away. They gave them back to Russia. They said they had the 5th most nukes in the world, maybe 3rd even at that time. I think 5th, and they gave them back to the Soviet Union under the agreement that their territorial integrity would be protected by both Russia and the United States. How did that work out? Nukes are like guns. You know, if there's a bully on a block and one dude on that block has a gun, he ain't getting bullied by that, and this bully has a gun. He ain't going to bully that other dude with a gun. He's going to bully the dudes who don't have guns. That is why countries who have nuclear weapons invade countries that don't. The United States invades countries that don't have nukes, don't we? That's why we don't want Iran and North Korea to have nukes. We can't invade them if we don't want to change them. We're not invading China. We're not invading Russia. And they're not invading us. And I'm amazed at the amount of people who are calling for war. And it's just like that, it's just like the CCR song, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fortune Son. It ain't me, Lord. I ain't no millionaire's son, no. Some folks inherit star-spangled eyes. Lord, they send you down to war, yeah. And when you ask 'em, how much do we give? All they answer is more, more, more. It ain't me, Lord. I ain't no senator's son, no. How's that first stanza go? You get to the house. Lord, the house looks like a rummage sale, yeah. It ain't me, Lord. I ain't no millionaire's son. No, it's a song about some folks are born silver spoon in hand. Lord, don't they help themselves, yeah. But when the taxman comes to the door, Lord, the house looks like a rummage sale, yeah. Right now, we got a bunch of people who are hell-bent on saying we need to go to war, we need to go to war. I'm not an interventionist. I'm the most non-war dude here. So don't tell me that by going to war early, you're anti-war. Don't even give me that. This ain't World War II. It ain't. Any more than Iraq was World War II or Afghanistan was World War II or Vietnam was World War II. This ain't it. The U.S. wants to draw Russia into a thing where they're going to bleed them militarily, and that's what they want. And they're going to do it at the expense of the Ukrainian people, because we're not going to have to pay for this. The Ukrainian people will. And that song by CCR, it's about how people will say we all need to take it on the chin financially, but the rich don't pay their taxes. They're going to say you need to suck it up for patriot. You need to suck it up for patriotism and pay extra for food. And you need to suck it up and you need to pay extra for gas. And when you say, but I can't do that, man, I can't afford my bills. I can't pay this for gas. They say, well, you should. Why don't you just move closer to your job? Why don't you just ride a bicycle? They give you the dumbest, why don't you just have an electric car? And it shows how out of touch and elite people really are, especially progressives, because the people that are supposed to be for the poor are in reality overwhelmingly for the rich. These people don't understand that some dude who's a redneck out here in the boonies has to drive 40 minutes to work. He can't carpool. There's no one else going to his shift. Other guy on his shift might be coming from the opposite direction. They don't know. There's no carpooling. And when you say, so what am I supposed to do? They go, yeah, well, whatever. Tough shit. Suck it up. It's your patriotic duty. And they say, more war, more war, more war. And like, how much do I give financially? How much? How much is enough? I'm not a millionaire. But no, George Takei doesn't have a problem with it. Your elites don't have a problem with it. They don't seem to have a problem with it. And then you say, they're like, we're going to go to war with Russia. And you're like, dude, who's going to war with Russia? You're not going to war with Russia. You cunts on Twitter who really hate Putin, you can go. You can volunteer in Ukraine. A lot of you motherfuckers are putting up posts of, I support Ukraine. I'm good. I'm glad. But they're very vehement about, we got to go to war. Go. You can join the Foreign Legion in Ukraine. Ain't no one stopping you, but they don't want to. They want to send, these people don't have relatives in the military. They don't have friends in the military. To them, the American military is a video game. It's a movie. They don't know anyone in the military. And when they're not shitting on them, they're ready to send them to die. So these people were born to wave the flag. They got star-spangled eyes. And they're ready to send you to war. And they're all saying, and people keep bringing up, dude, we can't go to war with Russia. If we go to war with Russia, if we put over no-fly zone, it will be a nuclear war. There is no way. We will not fight a conventional war with Russia, with any nuclear power, because they will just use nukes. We went through the entire Cold War without having to do this. And now we're prepared to do it. Now, there's a lot of dummies out there who really shouldn't have the right to vote, who keep saying, well, a lot of people don't get that. And they say, yeah, but we'll stop the nukes. We can't stop Russia's nukes. A lot of you are living in a fantasy land. If we go to war with Russia, and we're not going to, so I'm not trying to get you stressed out. So relax, go about your day, get your dick sucked. Live a happy life. Stop worrying about Russia. If you want to check in every now and then, if you really care, go fight over there, man. If it matters that much to you, donate money. Go fight. But if you keep amping up, for another historical fact, the reason Japan attacked us, we put sanctions on them. They bombed Pearl Harbor because we did a massive sanction on Japan for oil. We put an oil embargo on Japan. And they were like, if we don't attack the United States, our fleet will stop moving. We won't have the oil for our fleet. But in reality, maybe it works out for Russia because now they can consolidate their power in their own country without any foreign competition. I'm starting to think maybe the elites want this. They want this dichotomy of East and West. And, because it's just good for business to have an enemy. To have an enemy to keep people scared and giving up their freedoms. And guess what? You know who wins? The military-industrial complex. Germany, who has remained, relatively unarmored since World War II, is actually finally breaking one of their rules and rebuilding their military. Other NATO countries are buying weapons. They're getting amped up. It's a giant weapons expenditure, just like before World War I. And for the record, fuck NATO. NATO isn't good, okay? It is an aggressive alliance to expand U.S. and Western European money, power, and energy. Our gas lines, our consumerist nonsense. That's what it is. It's not there to defend Europe. We don't care, all right? It's not what it was about. It never was, all right? And the lesson from the First World War was don't have these weird treaties where I go to war for another country. Because right now, if a country invades Turkey, we're supposed to invade that country as if that country invaded California. Most of you fuckers can't put Turkey on a map. Can't put Lithuania on a map. Lithuania is in NATO, as is Estonia and Latvia. Now Moldova is trying to get in NATO. You motherfuckers know where Moldova is? No, you don't. And we're worried. Why did we have this? I'm reading The Guns of August right now. Amazing book, which outlines the 1 month leading up to the First World War and how these governments could have prevented this, but they were hell-bent on this idea of war. It's going to happen, so let's just do it anyway. It didn't have to happen. But they kept thinking, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to get it over with. A Serbian named Prisepi, I forget his name, Franco, Serbian nationalist. Is it Prisepi? There's a Gavriolo. Hold on. Oh, you got to get this right. It's going to drive me nuts. The man who shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Gavrilo Princip was a 19-year-old Serbian nationalist, shot the man who was going to inherit the Austro-Hungarian throne. So what should have been, potentially a war between Serbia and Austria-Hungary, the Russians said, we're Serbia's big brother. We have to protect them. They got involved. And Germany's like, well, we have an alliance with, if you attack Austria-Hungary, we attack you. So Germany got involved. And France said, well, we got an alliance with Russia that we got to fucking back these suckers. So now we're involved. Now the whole continent is involved. And then Britain's like, well, we kind of had an alliance with France. And especially their big thing was they didn't want Germany entering Belgium. But they knew they would. Everyone knew Germany was going to go through Belgium, and they did. They're like, well, now we're involved. So what should have been a little fight, a small little war over one assassination, became one of the biggest wars in the world history. And then landed right into World War II. I didn't mean to end on this, because I got to end soon. But I didn't mean to fucking end on this. I'm just being sporadic. The world isn't ending. I don't think neither power is going to go to nuclear war. So for those of you calling for it, you're fucking idiots. We're not going to survive. If there's a nuclear war, we all die. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Okay? The world is over. And a lot of people really just hate themselves in their lives. And so they don't care if they see the world burn. Because if your life already sucks and you have to watch other people who are rich and powerful and whatever succeed and have a good life, you think, well, fuck them. If I can't have some, let the whole world burn. Don't get invested in using this as an outlet to argue with people online, because shit's fucked up with you. All right? Go out, smoke a blunt, get your dick sucked, drink a beer. If you do that stuff, whatever, I don't. Take a hike. Meditate. Eat a good meatball sub. Get a nice meatball spucky. I prefer American cheese. But lately, dude, I don't know what's up. Every meatball I have is very plain. I can't get a spicy meatball in Boston to save my life. I don't know. I used to love a good meatball spucky. Nice meatball sub with American cheese. And now I just, whatever. It's not doing it for me anymore. But shut up, Mike. You're trying to say, you guys fine. Go out and find a good meatball and tell me about it. Write me. Give me questions. Email me at GYAT. Get Your Act Together podcast, GYT podcast at gmail.com. Hit me up if you, yeah, dude. So to answer that long-winded question, no, I still think we should stay out of this. Is things going to work out for Ukraine? It's not. I'm sorry. But we can't fight every war. We're not supposed to be the world police. It doesn't help us. It often doesn't help other countries. Is not, and to those who are like, oh man, well, what else are we going to do if we don't ban Russian kitty cats? What is a lot of you need to understand that's, and it shows I'm going to say this, I hate that I'm going to say this, you're privileged, that you grew up a spoiled kid out in the suburbs, especially white women who've never heard the word no. You've never been told no in your life or realized I can't save a person. You might not be able to save Ukraine. You just might not be able to. Now, if you're Ukrainian, you're like, fuck you, Mike. What would you say if it was Ireland? I'd probably be like, oh, we need to get involved with Ireland. I would. I'll admit it. It'd be hard for me to because it would be closer to me. It's easier for me to be distant from something that is ethnically different than me. If you don't like Ukraine invaded, I don't. Keep that same energy when we invade other countries. When we fuck shit up in the Middle East or any other country. Just keep it the same, man. Imperialism isn't good, whether it's China, Russia, or America doing it. So get out, hike. Winter's almost over. Enjoy your summer. You and your friends get in a car together, pull up your money, go on a road trip, even if gas is expensive. Don't allow them to fuck you out of being able to live your life. Because there's always a war. we're going to have World War III. They said this during the Cuban Missile Crisis. This has been said before. But they just rely upon the idea that people forget history. That's why I did this, to kind of remind you guys that this shit ain't new. Now Hollywood gives you a show, and it's like, watch this new show, and it's not a new show. It's just it's the Wonder Years all over again, just with a black kid. But you didn't see the original Wonder Years, so you think it's new. Ain't shit new, man. War ain't new. Invading ain't new. America wanting to stay out of European wars is what America was founded on. To be a true American is to say, we came here to get away from the old world's wars. This idea of us getting involved in them, this is a brand new, un-American new idea. It's not who we are. It's not who our founders were. It's not who we were for the, it only came into this in the Second World War. We didn't want to go to war in the First World War. All right, a lot of Americans didn't want to go to war in the Second World War. But obviously we won, so we're like, yeah, but go live your life, get laid, have some fun, and stay motivated, motherfuckers. Hit me up if you got any questions, and peace. With a hood, yeah.